Hello everybody, this is a video that I'm going to be making right now on how to make your MoYu Pyraminx a lot better than when it comes to you. This is a pretty much brand new one. It's a primary plastic. I have here my older two white and black ones, which are both missing a red sticker. These are pretty good. This one, not as much. A lot slower. Tips are kind of bad compared to these. This one I've modified the tips, this one I haven't. This one I obviously have not as well. There will be a second video I'm hoping to make on how to modify the tips. I'm going to recommend you have paper towels, a screwdriver, because we're going to be taking the caps and centers out, and then some lube. I'm going to be using stuff like this, pretty high viscosity lube, so it's very thick, and then a low viscosity and MoYu. To start off, we're gonna just take the center caps out, and if you can pop an edge out as of now, most of the time you can. Go ahead and do that, and then get a paper towel. I'm just going to be ripping a section of this paper towel off and then inserting the edge into it like this. I don't need quite this much though. Just enough to cover basically like the inner part of the edge. And we're just going to put that back in. I'm going to do that to another edge. And then just kind of mess around with it a bit with the paper towels in there. Just scramble it and solve it a few times. And this will help wipe all of the factory lube out in a pretty efficient way, I think. That way you're not having to scrub all of the pieces. Another thing you can do with this is just tighten these screws, because that'll get it working faster and break it in a little bit faster. This is going to be pretty dumb looking, but it actually kind of works, trust me. I've done this a lot on different cubes. Paper towels might fall out, that's fine, just shove them back in. So that should do for now. So after you've done that with the paper towel part, we're going to do it again, but to the center pieces. So just unscrew it completely and get another piece of paper towel. This one's a bit big, so you want it to go on the bottom part, and you want it to go all the way around and up to the flat, and you're just going to put it back in with that underneath it, and we'll put the screw back in nice and tight, and then just start turning it a lot with the cap back on, so it will essentially again break it in faster. It'll work that spring down a bit so that it's smoother, and then go on from there. That's it. We'll do that to all of the tips and then move on. So now we're just going to take off all of the tips. Just, your screwdriver. It's pretty self-explanatory. Something I would like to mention is you have to be a little bit more careful than I was, because there is no plastic to hold in the little ball bearing that goes under the tip. So if you let it drop like I just did, you're probably going to lose a ball bearing, kind of like I did. But luckily, still here. Okay, so now it is completely disassembled, and you can take the screws out. Pretty long screws, and they have a washer on them. So just, again, be very careful not to lose your ball bearing from the tip. Okay, so on these screws, I just take off the washers. It's something I do with pretty much all cubes, and it gives the spring a little bit more room, and you don't really need the washers in there, so I just like taking them out. So I took those pieces out, and now I'm going to use a low viscosity lube and get the air bubble to the top first, and put just a little bit on the center piece. Okay, so I got a little bit on there, maybe a bit much, but I just kind of spread it around evenly. It'll get spread around pretty quickly once the tip is back on. I'm going to do that to all 4 of these, and just ever so slightest amount. So there's that. And then for these things that go in there, I'm going to take the higher viscosity lube, so the thicker one takes the bubble a long time to get to the top. It's going to put a little bit on this bottom half, so the half that doesn't has the indents and not the bumps. Kind of spread it around in a circle and up and down, just a little bit, like a little bits, not a lot. And you don't need to lube the bottom of these because they're going to be in contact with this part that is already has the lube in it. I almost lost. Whoa. So when those are done, just set them back in there so you're not losing ball bearings. Going to use the thicker lube again on these and put a little drop around the top, underneath the top of the screw. Just right there, just a little drop. Remember, a little goes a long way with this, so then you can kind of put the spring up and just turn it around in a circle. That will get it nice and worked in. And then I like just putting a little bit on the spring to reduce the spring noise. I mean, if it doesn't bother you, by all means don't do that. It's good to save your lube for other stuff. But so I do that, and then you can just get this and just drop it in there once it's done. The edges, there's almost nothing you have to do to these except just the ever so slightest amount. These are caps. I'm all confused. So on these, this is pretty much the last step until working it all in. I take the thick lube again, and just put a little tiny dab on one edge in one side, just tiny bit on the outsides of it, and then just do that to the other side. I'm going to get a little bit on this bottom part, so that will lube a different axis of turning stuff. And that's pretty much done. You just want it on the bottom. You don't want to spread it all over, otherwise it will become extremely slow. So just find like the opposite of that edge and then do it to that one too. Just the ever so slightest amount on each of the parts. At this point you can go ahead and assemble it. And after it's assembled, you want to go tight again. Just start off really tight because we're going to work it in again. That way all of the lube will get broken in much quicker than if you're just solving. You can put the tips back on for this step because it'll be helpful for breaking the tips in. So while it's tight, I like to add just another drop and then a second one of MoYu again. This will help the lube work faster because it's going to spread it out quicker because it's, you know, just a liquid type thing, and the MoYu will wear away very quickly, so you're just left with the better lubrication, more spread out quicker. So now essentially you are done. You will probably want to go loosen this after you've broken it in quite a bit while it's tight. If you would like to purchase a MoYu Pyraminx, you can check out the link in the description for cubes4speed.com. That's where I got my primary and my black one. They got really fast shipping to the US, and I really like their store. Okay, so I've worked it in for actually quite a while, and I loosened it up to my liking, and it is a lot better now. This is a finished product. The tips turn much easier, and the layers do also. Again, you can get it at cubes4speed.com. This is where I cut out now, and thank you all so very much for watching. Goodbye.